Have you ever had one of those days? You are on fire, you are disciplined, a total high performer from morning till night, only to walk through your front door and completely lose it over something tiny, like unfolded laundry, lost keys, someone asking a simple question, and boom, you're snapping at the people you love most. Well, today, we're going to dismantle that entire pattern. We're diving into a science-backed protocol that will help you eliminate that end-of-day meltdown, not by treating patience like some moral virtue you have to try harder at, but as a biological resource that you can actually learn to manage. Let's engineer a better end to your day. This right here, this is the whole reframe. That feeling of being angry at everything and nothing all at once, it's not a character flaw. It's a system failure. It's your brain, completely out of juice after a long day of running at peak performance, just sending out a desperate SOS. See, it's a hardware problem. And today, we're going to give you the user manual. So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through 6 key stages. First, we'll tackle the paradox of why the most disciplined people often have the shortest fuse at home. Then, we'll get into the neuroscience of why your brain's off switch just stops working. And then, the best part, we'll build a concrete 3-part protocol to engineer a state of calm. Let's get into it.
All right, first things first. We have to tear down the myth that's causing all the guilt and frustration. This idea that your short temper at home is some deep reflection of your character. It's not. It's a reflection of your energy reserves.
This is what we call the water torture of the mundane. It's that slow drip frustration over tiny, insignificant things that suddenly feels like the absolute end of the world. You're convinced your entire life is a mess, but the trigger? It was nothing. This isn't you being unstable. This is a predictable biological event. Your system is literally running out of power. This slide completely reframes the entire problem. On the left is what we've been taught to believe. We tell ourselves, I just need more discipline. But the truth, which is backed by the hard science of how your brain uses energy, is that your brain has literally cut the power. Your ability to self-regulate, what we call your veto power, is completely out of gas. So the takeaway here is massive. You don't need more willpower, you need to manage your blood glucose. And this gets us to the core concept, executive depletion. Look, your brain doesn't have a work battery and a home battery. It's all one tank. Every single complex decision you make, every tough conversation you have, every moment of deep focus at your desk, it's all draining the exact same resource you need to be patient and present at home. You've been redlining it all day and you're walking in the door on empty.
So what's actually happening in your brain when that single battery hits 0? Well, you get what scientists call a limbic breakthrough. This is the moment your primitive emotional brain hijacks your rational mind.
The experience itself is called cognitive thinning. Think of your self-control like a daily spending budget. All day long, you're spending it, being professional, staying focused, being polite. By the time you get home, that account is completely empty. You have 0 gating power left to filter your impulses, which means there's literally nothing stopping a raw emotional reaction from just erupting. And that brings us to the threshold glitch. You know this feeling. I mean, you know it deep in your bones. It's that heavy, oppressive irritability that just descends the second you cross the threshold of your own home. Suddenly, a simple, loving question like, hey, how was your day? Can feel like a direct personal attack. That's the glitch in action. So why does this happen? Let's get specific. Your prefrontal cortex. Think of it as the CEO of your brain, the part that's in charge of impulse control. It runs on glucose. That's its fuel. When it's metabolically exhausted, it can no longer do its main job, which is to inhibit the signals coming from your amygdala, your brain's little threat detector. The CEO has basically left the building, leaving the hypervigilant security guard in charge of everything. So the crucial point is this state of, domestic burnout. It isn't about a lack of love or care for your family. It's about a lack of neural capital. Your brain has entered a state of crisis because it's run out of energy. It's a resource problem, not a relationship problem. Okay, we've diagnosed the problem with surgical precision. Now let's engineer the solution. We are moving from diagnosis to application. This is the Recharge Engine protocol. Instead of just relying on patience, a strategy that, let's be honest, almost always fails when you're depleted, we're going to build a 3-layer system. First, we'll audit your internal state. Second, we're going to create a decontamination zone. And third, we'll learn how to physically reset your nervous system. Our goal here is simple: to make a state of calm the path of least resistance. And to get started, you have to fundamentally shift the diagnostic question you ask yourself when you feel that familiar irritation creeping in. This is the metabolic audit. The old question, why am I so angry? It assumes the world is the problem, right? It sends your brain searching for external threats to justify how you feel. The new, correct question is, how's my battery? This question assumes the hardware is the problem. It's a diagnostic check, not a moral judgment. And how do you check the battery? With a quick diagnostic. Just run a systems check and ask yourself, am I hungry? Low blood sugar is a huge trigger for irritability. Am I tired? Sleep deprivation crushes your executive function. Am I overstimulated? A brain that's been bombarded with information all day has zero capacity left. See? This isn't deep psychology, it's just a fast physical systems check. The second pillar is the sensory airlock. You have to stop thinking about the time between work and home as a transition and start treating it as decontamination. It's a mandatory 15-minute period where you cut off all inputs. No podcasts, no news, no stressful phone calls. You're allowing your nervous system to downshift from a state of high alert to neutral before you even walk in the door. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds maybe a little too simple to solve such a painful problem. But there is powerful neurobiology that makes this protocol so incredibly effective. Let's look at the actual science of control. Take a look at this number, 40%. What could that possibly mean? That's the potential drop in activity in your amygdala, your brain's threat detection center, the moment you simply name your internal state accurately. When you stop calling it angry and start labeling it metabolically depleted, you are performing what neuroscientists call metacognitive labeling. You're basically signaling to your brain that this is a manageable resource issue, not a life-threatening crisis. And what this labeling does is incredible. It sends a signal to your anterior cingulate cortex, the part of your brain that acts like a conflict alarm. By accurately labeling your state, you essentially tell that alarm system, hey, stand down, this isn't a real threat. It's just a fuel problem. And that stops the alarm bell from ringing. It shifts your brain out of that limbic panic and back into a state of executive, regulatory control. And this illustrates the critical shift in identity you're making. You are no longer the passive victim just waiting for the last straw to break you. You become the chief executive of your own energy. You aren't just hoping to be patient. You're guaranteeing it by actively managing the machine. Okay, let's get tactical. How do you implement this starting today? We're going to build your personal 15-minute airlock, your non-negotiable homecoming protocol. This starts on your commute home. T-minus 15 minutes to arrival, turn everything off. No news, no podcasts, no phone calls. Just let your brain process the day. T-minus 5 minutes, shift your focus to your breathing. Box breathing or even a simple 4-second inhale, 6-second exhale is perfect. This is the decontamination phase. You are preparing to enter the sanctuary of your home. Now, for the moment you walk in the door, here are the 3 steps. 1, you've already decontaminated on the way home. 2, refuel. Before you even engage in a conversation, eat about 100 calories of some slow-burning fuel. A handful of almonds, a banana, a small protein bar. This is what we call the glucose bridge. You are giving your prefrontal cortex the fuel it is screaming for. 3, signal your state clearly and calmly. And here are the exact words to use. This isn't an apology or an excuse. It's a clear, high-quality signal to your loved ones. You say, hey, I'm currently at a 2 out of 10 for patience. I just need 10 minutes of silence to recharge before I can really connect. You see the difference? You are not snapping. You are signaling. You're not struggling to be patient. You're strategically taking control. Let's bring this all together, because this isn't just a tactic. It's a whole new philosophy for managing your internal world. It's about mastering your frustration threshold, what we call the art of the long gating, which is just a cool way of saying you're extending your fuse by proactively managing your energy. If you take only one thing away from our time together today, let it be this. Your impatience, your frustration, your short fuse at the end of the day, it is a hardware problem. It is about fuel and resources, not some defect in your character. And this gives us a new, more intelligent definition of strength. True greatness isn't about white-knuckling your way through exhaustion. It's not about how much stress you can handle. It's about how strategically and how consistently you can refuel your system so that when the day is done, all that's left is your capacity for connection and love. And let this be a warning. You can try to outgrit this.
You can try to just power through, but you cannot win a fight against a systemic biological failure. The internal bank always collects its debt, and it usually collects it from the people you care about the most.
So here is your new mantra. It's simple, it's actionable, and it's incredibly effective. Manage the battery, save the home.
So I'll leave you with this final question. Knowing that this is a biological system, not a personal failing, how will you refuel? How will you engineer your own homecoming protocol starting today? The choice is no longer between being a good person or a bad person. It's between being a smart engineer of your internal state or a victim of it.